Manchester United played Sevilla about 5 days ago, and this was probably arguably one of our worst games of this season so far. When we exclude the Liverpool game, I just really do not want to speak about that game. So United played Brighton in the FA Cup quarterfinals 2 days ago, and we won. We actually won on penalties. I don't know what to say. We won on penalties. I remember against Villarreal 2020 Europa League final, we lost on penalties, and now we win penalties. What a story. I haven't made a football video in quite some time, and I wanted to make a video today speaking about Manchester United, the club that I obviously support. It is very obvious that I support this football club, and I wanted to speak about some other football clubs and the future of Manchester United. The game against Sevilla was very, very bad. Ooh, man, it started the first 20 minutes. A lot of pressure on Sevilla's side, on us. Now, here's the thing. Sevilla may not be playing phenomenal this season, but they've been known for it for many, many years. That at home games, they're literally one of the best in Europe. Search it up. Its statistics don't lie. So we fucked up that game. We lost, and I was very frustrated with Maguire. He was the main problem of that game. It was unfortunate that De Gea had slipped on the ball. Hey, shit can happen. Cool, we move forward on. So, we played the FA Cup against Brighton, and I'm going to be very honest, I wasn't very optimistic at all. I was like, as long as just Maguire doesn't play. If he plays again, this is bullshit. He didn't play. Lindelof, goddamn, was exceptional. Wan-Bissaka, exceptional. He's a player I would love to keep at United. He's obviously not what Ten Hag is looking for, but I think there is nobody better in the league or in the world as a right back than Wan-Bissaka. He is the best in the world. You've got rival fans even saying, holy shit, this dude is insane. His defense is phenomenal. His offensive skills, not the greatest, but as long as he can keep the ball, I don't give a shit about the rest. He's an all-round really good player. I want to speak about some other things. Players that I think that really need to get sold after the season is obviously none other than Harry Maguire. I think it is very, very obvious that he's been at the club for way too long. I never understood why we got Harry Maguire in the first place. When Leicester City bought him in 2017-18, he came from Hull City. He wasn't even in the Premier League. He was in the second division. And then he came to Leicester City. He was pretty decent at Leicester City, but I could never understand the price tag of £80 million for a sack of shit, really, to be honest. Because he was decent at Leicester, but we could have bought Virgil van Dijk, but I guess he didn't want to sign to United, which I don't blame him afterwards. And since he came to the club, he's been playing terrible. There's not really one match that I can really say, oh man, he's been exceptional. Obviously a few matches, but from the amount of matches he's played over 100 matches for United. He may have had 2 or 3, 4 games that he was actually solid, but for the rest, he was the problem in the team. So I hope that he gets sold. I would like to see Anthony Elanga get sold as well, because we're not using him, and he's just not good enough, unfortunately. That's just the truth. He's more of a Southampton, Everton type of player, which is not an insult. I mean, that's a compliment to begin with. It's like Lingard. When Lingard went to loan from United to West Ham 2 years ago, he had one of his best seasons in a very, very long time. He wasn't in form for a long time, and United had the option then to sell him for 40 million permanently on the deal to West Ham, or keep him. They decided to keep him, and the upcoming season they didn't use him. They didn't bother using him. And I was so frustrated because that was £40 million that we could have had in the bag to buy another player with. But United have fucked up often with transfer markets, unfortunately. Big losses like Pogba left last year free, paid over 100 million for him. That's the excluding tens of millions in wages and whatever. So United made a big loss on that. Same with Ronaldo, he left. I'm kind of glad he left, to be honest. He was eventually a big issue within United, and you can definitely see from now, with 9 months ago, it's going a little bit better. This season has been very, very strange. As per usual, United is a very confusing club if you follow them. If you've been following United since the Alex Ferguson era, yes, it's definitely different now than them. I also want to speak about players that I think United should really get. However, it won't happen unless the club gets sold to a new owner. It's been going on for a while now, and the Glazers are still not settling down to sell the club. They just want more fucking money, the greedy bastards. I mean, what can you say? They've been offered $6 billion, and it's still not enough. What is not enough about that? You've had people even offered and said, hey, we'll pay, including the $500,000 that you're in debt, the $500 million that they're in debt. They have invested. Look, this is the thing. People have invested in this club. They may own the club, the Glazers, but there are hundreds of people outside the club that have invested equities in United and not seeing that money back. They're not seeing the shit get paid out. They are basically not getting their money, so they have to get that paid back. Players that I would love. And that is two players I would really, really love at United is McAllister. He played exceptional for Brighton. I think he's been a really good player this season for Brighton. I think Brighton has been performing really well. Newcastle beat Tottenham 6-1. Tottenham, what do we think of them? Shit, to be honest. I mean, all jokes aside, on paper and on board, Tottenham is a very, very good team. And it's a very nice club. It's got a great history, I guess you could say. But, let's be honest, Newcastle have also been on fire this season, and that is because of a new owner. They've been taken over by oil people yet again, but look at what it's done. Look at Manchester City. We all joke and say, it's an oil club, but look what they invest in. Look at the amount of players they invest in. They've made so much profit just on buying the right players and then selling them. The youth academy is great. Sancho is from City. Then he went to Dortmund. There's also a player. Okay, sorry. I was speaking about the players I would like. I would love McAllister. I would love Frenkie de Jong, but it will not happen. He's stated often, even last year, he said, I don't have any interest. I'm happy at Barcelona. The only reason why United didn't go for him is because they wanted 100 million for him. It initially was 80 million and then 18 million in wages. Ridiculous. So then they bought Antony. Which I've got to be saying and honest, Anthony's been pretty decent lately. He's very important to the squad on the right flair. And another player who I would love as a striker, because unfortunately the truth is Anthony Martial is just not cut up for it. I am so sick and fucking tired of this goddamn dude, man. I don't know what it is with him, but he's just very lazy in my opinion. Like, respectfully, he doesn't give a shit. Every time he's on the field and he plays, it feels like he just doesn't have any interest in playing for the club. He doesn't play with pride or joy. He doesn't seem excited whenever he's on the field. It's like it genuinely doesn't excite him, which I can't understand why. You're playing for one of the best clubs in the world. You're playing at such a high level, which so many people would dream about, and you're not taking it serious, if I can say it like that. And it's also every time he's injured. I don't understand it. Is it a French thing that they get injured so often? Like, because Pogba got injured so often, Pogba was never able to reach his potential at United, which is 50-50. It was partially United's fault, the positions they played him in, but it was also his ego, him just being a dick, I guess you can also say, because a lot of stories behind the scenes said that he was not, he was very cocky. Money can change people, and it often does, but I don't know the dude personally, so, I'm disappointed we obviously got rid of Pogba, but it was very clear and obvious that he didn't want to come back. So, players like I said, Anthony Longa, Martial, Sancho is one of these players that I think should also leave, if not able to perform next season, because he's been at the club for 2 years. He's going into his third season with United almost already. And unfortunately, as much as I love the kid, I love him, I love his skills, he lacks confidence. And I don't know what really is playing a role behind the scenes of him lacking confidence, but he's a phenomenal player. We've seen him at Borussia Dortmund, hence the reason why United got him. The price tag was heavy, 70 million. It was pretty heavy. I think it's also a bit of English tax. I've noticed all English players are so fucking expensive. And every time, they're a flop most of the time. Like, 9 out of 10 times, they're a flop. People say Jack Grealish is a flop. I think he's starting to get good now. It's always been good. It's just, it takes time for a player to adapt to a new club. People have to also understand, a lot of the times players have to get used to a club, a new training facility, new manager, new teammates. It takes getting used to. But after a while, it's also like you need to know how to settle in. At that level you've been playing on for years, there is no excuse to not really perform like that. So I really want to see Sanchez really, really thrive this upcoming season. And the truth is, if he can't show it this next season, then I think it's time for him to go, and we need to purchase another winger. Because we've got Alejandro Garnacho, which I don't believe he is a starter at all. Not yet, because he just doesn't have that experience yet. Although Garnacho's been exceptional for us whenever he starts or falls in, he's been great. He's actually rescued us a few times. I want to speak about Chelsea as another one. Chelsea, I wanted to say quickly before we get into Chelsea, Victor Osimhen is a player I would love at Man United, but like I said, none of these transfers will happen unless the clubs get sold. And the way I look at it right now, I don't think United is going to get sold at all within this 2-month time period. I think, unfortunately, the Glaciers will be selfish enough and probably only sell it in the upcoming transfer window, so like the summer or winter or only next season. Or they may even say, you know what, fuck it, we ain't ever selling the club. That unfortunately is there as well, but I'm really hoping that the club gets sold to the right people, not just people that are there just purely for the money, but also that actually can have passion for the club. I just wanted to point that out. Chelsea, on the other hand, let's talk about Chelsea. What is that to say? Very disappointing. I used to really watch Chelsea back in 2015, 2017. What a great run they had with Mourinho and some other players. That's back when Hazard played. Yeah, he left in 2018, 19. And since then, Chelsea's been good. Like, they got pretty good runs in the Champions League, but this season they've been struggling. Something I've never actually really seen with Chelsea, and it's actually kind of sad to see. All jokes aside, Lampard's fourth game in a row lost. That's bad. I don't get why he decided to go back to Chelsea. If I got fired, I would basically say, hey, fuck you, I'm not coming back to the club. Because in my opinion, these managers have not gotten enough time. Graham Potter was something I did not understand. I did not get why he left Brighton for Chelsea. In my opinion, they should have never sacked Tuchel, but then at the end of the day, it's up to them. It's the owner's decision at the end of the day. Football is a cruel world, man. That's why a lot of players also reach the peak eventually and never stay at the peak because it's so much pressure. And tomorrow is not promised. You as a football player could be playing on your best, and the next day it's like, hey, we want to sell you. And it's the same with a manager. You can prestige amazing in the Champions League, but then get fired because you're not playing that well in the competition as you used to. Perfect example, Julian Nagelsmann got fired because the competition was getting crazy with Dortmund. This is the first time in a decade that Bayern may not actually win the Bundesliga title. So fucking what? They had an exceptional run for many years in the Champions League. They won against Barcelona 2012-13, 7-0 aggregate, and they beat Dortmund. And after that, they won many other Champions Leagues. So I think that's a bit harsh on the dude. But Tuchel is at Bayern. I'm going to be very honest. He's going to get sacked probably soon as well, unless some changes come, because they lost 3-1 a few days ago, I think against Freiburg or Augsburg. I'm not really sure. I don't really watch Bundesliga that much anymore. I really just watch Premier League and Serie A. Serie A is fucking awesome. I'm gonna be honest. Serie A is probably, in my opinion, the second best league in the world. Premier League, Serie A, Spanish League, and then Bundesliga, and then French competition. Because I don't know who can watch that shit, man. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, some other things. If United decide to sell the club, some changes have to come. We need a new midfielder, obviously. It's very, very clear that United cannot play without Bruno Fernandez. Bruno Fernandez has been such an important player since he arrived 2020 August, almost nearly 3 years ago. And he's a player I find very overhated. Rightfully so as well, kind of, because his attitude fucking stinks on the field, unfortunately, very often. It showed against Brighton yet again. He's a bit of a whiny little bitch. And I think he's a phenomenal player. He's really one of the best midfielders in the Premier League with Kevin De Bruyne. That's my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because he's a United player, but he's genuinely been underrated for basically when he arrived at United. When he arrived at United 2020, I didn't know who he was. I never heard of the dude until I did some background check. I was like, oh, yeah, actually I have seen him play before. But he's been amazing since then. Had a bit of an off-season last year, but since Ten Hag has come in, he's been exceptional. He's been very important. Rashford has been great. But the thing is, Rashford, if he gets injured, we don't have an actual striker that we can rely on. You can't rely on Anthony Martial because he's lazy. Call me a hater, whatever, but I've seen him play basically since we bought him from Monaco many years ago. This was still back when Liverpool had Lofron and Skriniar, those two shit defenders, and they had Mignolet. Those were the times. And I remember him on his debut scoring 2 goals at United, Old Trafford. What a crazy debut that was. But yeah, that's really it. I thought I'd speak about it. The 3-0 against Sevilla was very, very embarrassing. But it was also reality. It was basically saying them, hey, we're here the boss at home. And that's the thing with United. It's the one game you play good, and the next game it's like they play absolutely terrible, which is football, It's like Arsenal at the moment. Do I believe and think that they'll bottle the Premier League? They're going to fuck it up, I think, if they don't win the next game. And the next game is very important because it basically determines the upcoming few games that are still left. Because here's the thing. The reason why I think Arsenal won't win it is because of the fact that they're the youngest team in the entire Premier League. They've got the youngest players in the squad. And I think because of lack of experience, they will probably crumble because of the pressure on them. Because, it's a lot of pressure, bro. Could you imagine it? Arteta, first season at Arsenal, bomb. I think it's his first or second season. I'm so sorry. I don't really watch Arsenal. I only watch Arsenal when they play United. Because, United is my club. But what do you think, honestly? What do you think transfer-wise? I don't think United will be signing any player except for Marcel Sabitzer. The price tag is around 20 million, which is, it's acceptable, actually. I think Marcel Sabitzer has been a very good loan player so far for United. Wout Weghorst as well, which, unfortunately, the truth is he will not be playing at United permanently. Although I love the dude, also because he's Dutch as well. It's very amazing seeing a Dutch play in the Premier League. That's really awesome. You don't really see that often. Yeah, you got Tate from Fulham, but it's a defender. You got Van Dijk, you got Sven Botman at Newcastle. Good players actually, all. But Wout Weghorst has been exceptional. I know a lot of people say, oh, this and that, but I genuinely love his attitude. I love the passion and the thriviness he has for him. Even though he's not an actual player of United, he's just on loan. He's on loan from Burnley to another club in Turkey. But I don't think he will get permanently signed. It really all just depends on Burnley and on United at the end of the day. Like, hey, we want him. All right, here's the money. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. It's still kind of bizarre that Ten Hag has won his first trophy already within his year of United. We're playing on the 3rd of June, Manchester City, the FA Cup final. It's the first ever Manchester Derby final FA Cup ever. Do I think United have a chance? United have a chance if they just keep their head cool as they did against Brighton. You know, defensive-wise, I really shouldn't see an issue with Lindelof and Varane. I hope he's back then. It's about a month until they play them. So I'm really fucking excited. And I thought I'd make a video about football because it had been a while. So see you later, man.